Hey boys and girls, today we're going to get started on geometry. Let's start over. Good evening boys and girls, today we're going to start geometry. Geometry is going to be a unit that's going to cover all sorts of different things. A lot of this is going to be a review from former grades. I want to give you a heads up now that this video is going to require you to be taking more notes than some of the past videos, because the first couple things in geometry are just about learning the names and the different vocabulary. So let's get launched and started. Alright, so this weekend I was fortunate enough, I got to go to a Northern Virginia summit preaching Google for Education. Basically, it was a whole bunch of teachers who use Google, and I don't know if you guys realize this, but I really like Google. So I figured it'd be cool to show you some pictures of some of the different things I did and use that. So our first definition is point, and that's a single place in space. That's just one place. Like right now, this laser pointer, that's a point. If I put it over here, it's another point. If I put it over here, that's another point. So on your paper, you need to make sure you have this written down. If that means you need to pause the video now to copy that down, go for it. But I'm going to give you an example now. So if I want to talk points, let's use my nose as a point. Right there. That is, we'll say point N for nose. So there's a couple of different ways that I can write that. I can write out point N, or I can write it, make a little point, and then write N. Points are really easy. It's literally just a single place. You write point N or the number. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on points because that's pretty easy. Next is a line. A line is, when you think line, you probably think of this. That's not actually a line. If we're talking geometry terms, a line is a little bit different. It actually goes on forever and ever. It goes on forever and ever in both directions. So that's a definition you need written down. So that is a line. Now, I'm going to use my arm to demonstrate a line. So if I have my arm, and let's pretend my arm was magic, and it went on forever and ever on both sides. Obviously my arm doesn't, but let's pretend. So I have those little arrows there, and we're going to put a point there. We'll put that on A, put a point R. So two different ways to write this. We can write, well, there's actually four ways. Line AR. We could also do line RA, because it doesn't matter. It's the same if you're going forwards or if you're going backwards. Other ways we can write this is AR, and we put a little one above it, or RA. Then again, we put a little one over it. So four different ways we can write that, but basically what you need to make sure you know is that it's gonna, you understand that it goes on forever and ever in both directions. Now, something that's similar to a line but slightly different is a line segment. That means it's just part of a line. It has a start and two endpoints. That should actually say two endpoints. So, for example, when I tell you to draw a line, generally you're actually drawing me a line segment. So I'll have to do a better job in class. Start calling that a line segment. So let's use this little Google thing. This Google thing is really cool. Hoping to get one for class. It's called a Google Cardboard because it's made out of cardboard. Well, what it does is you put your phone in there and then you look through it. It's kind of like a viewfinder, and you can look at different things. So let's use the top edge of this. So there's an endpoint, and there's another endpoint. And since this is called Google Cardboard, we'll go with CB. So again, just with like a line, we can do it in a couple of different ways. We can write out line segment CB. Could also be line segment BC. Similarly, we could do CB with a line over it, or we can do BC with a line over it. The biggest difference between a line segment and a line is that a line segment stops. It has a start and an endpoint, or two endpoints. Right here is CB. There's point C, and here's point B. That is an endpoint. That is an endpoint. So line segment, major difference is that one stops that would be the line segment. The other one is a line, and that goes on forever. So if we're moving on here, now we're going to start talking about something called a ray. And I want you to think of a flashlight, which gives a ray of light. It has an endpoint, and it goes on forever in just one direction. So let's take my eyesight here. So it starts there, and I'm looking on forever and ever in that direction. So looking, let's use L, and we'll put point K there. So there's only two ways to write this. We could write ray, LK, or we can write LK, and then an arrow over it. We cannot write it as KL. That one's wrong, because it starts at this endpoint and it goes out that way. So it has to mimic it. So it starts here and goes that way. If I had KL, that would mean I'm starting here and going that way. That doesn't make sense. So ray, LK. So here's your definition. Ray has an endpoint, goes on forever in one direction. Make sure you pause and write that down if you need to. And something that is related to a ray is an angle. It's made of two rays, actually. And it starts at a vertex, and that's where the two rays meet, and it goes on forever in two different directions. So to show you, let's use my lanyard that I was wearing. So we're going to have a little thing going on here. It's going to be my vertex where the two rays meet. Point here, lanyard. So L, N, Y. That's some letters I can use there. So angle can be a couple different ways. Angle, we can call it angle L and Y. We can also call it just angle N by using just the vertex right here where the two rays meet. The other way, if we want to use it with symbols, we can do angle symbol L and Y, or we could do angle N because that's the vertex. We could also do angle Y and L, just as long as in these cases, this one here, the N is in the middle representing. You just kind of go around it. You could also do it just angle N representing the vertex. So, your assignment to bring you back to school, this is a group shot of one of the things that we did. It's a really cool game called Breakout, which I hope we get to play in class sometimes. I have included a point, a line segment, an angle, and a ray in my drawing. I've identified different things. I want you to label all of them. You can do it by putting like the words and the points, or you can use the different symbols. Does not matter to me, but this is what I want brought back to school. I even give you a little example of what I want it to look like over here, and there's plenty of different ways you can make this look. So, pause the video now so you can do it, and I'll see you tomorrow.